Since the Israel-Hamas war began, news and social media have been filled with horrific and traumatizing images and reports. These can be tough to digest for adults, and they're especially difficult for children. To discuss how parents can talk through this with their kids and their teens, I'm joined by child psychologist Dr. Robin Gurwitch. Dr. Gurwitch, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you for having me, Yasmeen.
So let's start with the most basic thing. Do we talk to our kids about the war at all? And if so, when or how do we bring it up?
So, to answer your first question, absolutely, positively, yes. We know that when we don't talk about difficult things, children may not bring it up because they're worried they're going to upset you. And all of the science tells us if adults will bring it up, they have a better chance of helping children cope with what's going on. It is not easy to bring up difficult conversations, but I think take a deep breath and jump in to that conversation. You can start as simply as there's a war going on in Israel and Gaza. Tell me what you know. Take your cue from your children. When they bring it up, sit down and answer it. Truly don't say, let's talk about it later. Being aware that children may bring it up multiple times, and particularly for school age or even a little bit younger children, don't be surprised if they ask you the same question over and over and over again. It's not that they're wanting different answers. They're just trying to process the answer that you continue to give them.
So, how would we speak to younger kids versus, say, teenagers about this?
With younger children, I think the big, broad brushstrokes, one of the things they're really asking about is, am I safe and are you safe? So it is very important to help them know that this is happening far away if you're in, for example, the United States. And our family is doing everything we know how to do to make sure our family does stay safe and that our friends and our neighbors and the people we care about are safe. I think it is important to give them information. It is okay to tell them there are many people that are hurt and there are some people that have died. And we feel very sad and bad about that. But it is equally important not to go into gruesome details. That is not important. As children get older, they understand more nuances. They understand that there aren't black and white answers to everything. Sometimes when we ask teens, I mean, it's the same with teens all over the place. How are you doing? And they say, fine. With teenagers, sometimes we may get more by saying, tell me what your friends are saying about all of this.
A lot of kids are seeing this content on social media where parents have little to no control. How do we help them deal with the unexpectedly traumatic things that they may come across in their feeds?
Check in, ask them what they're watching, look at it. If there are parental controls, particularly with school-age children, put those on. We know that there's quite a bit on social media right now that is not appropriate for anybody to be watching right now. So I think it's important to take an active role into looking at the social media, checking in on it, and making sure that you have set up some guidelines.
So, social media is not always a trusted source. How do we make sure that we tell our kids what they're seeing is not always accurate? And how do we direct them to more trusted information?
Talking to them about, just as you said, there are lots of things that are out there that aren't true. And that's why we're having this hard conversation. So you know that I will always be as honest as I can be with you for everything I know. So if you're questioning something or if you see something that you're concerned about, please talk to me. This is also an opportunity, I think, as hard as the conversations are to have, for parents and caregivers to take an opportunity to think about what are the values, what are the beliefs that you hold about how we treat others and how we wish to be treated.
We know, unfortunately, that anti Semitism and Islamophobia are on the rise in this country. And we also know that this is playing out between children on the playground and in schools. How do we help kids cope with being stereotyped or if they're being bullied?
I think it is important for us as adults when we have the difficult conversation, to also help them identify if you ever feel like somebody is making you uncomfortable, if they're doing or saying anything to you, please let's think about who you would tell, what you would say. So help them identify trusted adults. I think it's important for adults to think about who are their safe people? Who do they go to talk this through? I think we've all done that in these last weeks. I think it is also important to help them consider if you say something, if you see something, what are your responsibilities? What should you do? And it's not necessarily that you need to intervene as much as tell somebody or to support someone.
Thank you so much, Dr. Gerwich, for helping us navigate these tough conversations. I appreciate it. Thank you for your time.
Thank you for having me.